have events at large venues with a lot of people. So just like the NBA and other sporting teams have shut down their seasons, this season got cut short, and then it was a mad scramble for him to get home out of concern that he might not be able to come back. So luckily he was able to fly back. So he had his season shortened, and now he's trying to find out when his next season will start. So he's in a bit of an awkward situation right now, but we're glad he was safe where he was, and he got home safe, and he's healthy. So we're happy to have him.
All right. Well, that's great. We're glad he's home safe and he can be with you and do the social distancing thing, and you got your whole family together. So that's great.
Yes.
I got a message from my producers that bandwidth is bad for some reason, and we just ask everybody to hang tight. We're going to try to see if we can clear up the challenge here, but apparently everybody can hear fine. So we had 300 people registered for this event, and I want to thank everybody for joining us today.
Okay.
Let's drill a little bit deeper into sort of the effects of COVID-19 and the pandemic. You know, you've sort of had a baptism of fire here, Samuel. You've recently taken over the role of TCA's interim CEO. You were elected as IBTTA president last September in Halifax. And with the COVID-19, even one of your senior staff was infected, and you had to go and make preparations and changes immediately. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's definitely been an exciting year, Pat, full of challenges. But like I told you in the past, I kind of like working uphill. So the challenges we've had to face, I'm happy to be in a leadership role with both IBTTA and TCA to try and figure out how we can overcome those short-term problems. When it comes to our employees and our concerns are around their health first and foremost. So when we had one of our employees be diagnosed with COVID-19, it's an interesting feeling because, when you have an employee who's ill for any reason, you focus on that employee and you hope the best for them, and you want to do everything you can to accommodate them. With COVID-19 and the way this virus works, it's kind of like a ripple effect. I guess the best way I can describe is if you drop a pebble in a pool of water and you see those waves going out from that drop. So that first drop is the employee, but then you have to think about their family, right? Who's at risk? Is the employee in an at-risk category? Do they have family members around them that are in the at-risk category? And then how does that roll over into the folks they've interacted with here in our agency, our other employees, our contractors, our consultants, and trying to just follow the breadcrumb. It can be challenging, but we were fortunate. We had some good protocols in place. We were happy to see that the affected employee did a good job of keeping meeting notes and was able to tell us everyone they met with, where they were in the building, and we were able to develop our plans around that information to make sure the appropriate people were notified so that they can make sure they checked themselves and did everything they can to maintain their health.
Samuel, speaking of the breadcrumbs and putting together all those policies and procedures, I want to let people know that we've hosted dozens of meetups and webinars like this over the last 8 weeks, probably more than 50 so far. And one of the groups that's really meeting regularly is a group of general counsels. It's led by Merrill Mandis, who's the general counsel for the State Road and Tollway Authority in Georgia. And they've had some wonderful heart-to-heart conversations about how to respond to the pandemic. One of the big issues they've been talking about in recent days is return to work actions and what kinds of policies you put in place and whether you write things down. If there's anybody out there who is a general counsel or would like to be part of this group, please drop me an email and we'll get you engaged with them. Hey, we've got a question, Samuel, from Steve Snyder with the Halifax Harbor Bridges. He says, thanks for hosting. Do you have any insights on leading your organizations remotely? Insights on leading remotely.
Yeah.
What do you think, Samuel?
The first thing that comes to mind is how do you maintain or look for opportunities to improve productivity? I think some of the key things we've seen at our agency are folks actually are working longer hours, but I think they're still maintaining a good work-life balance because they are working more hours, but they're working from home and their family members are there. So we've seen, I've seen a lot of examples where we have staff who would send out reports on our daily traffic and revenue. Normally we get the weekend report on Monday. So we find out about how we did Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on Monday. Well, actually this employee is taking upon themselves. We didn't ask them to do this, but now we get that report the very next day. So Friday report, we get a Saturday email. Saturday's report, we get a Sunday email. So I think those types of things are important in looking at productivity. One of the other things I've really insisted on here is that we don't just do audio teleconferences. We use cool tools like this in Zoom, because I think that human interaction is important, as you noted earlier. I think the human dynamic, it just creates energy and helps promote innovation, which you know is a big focal point of mine.
I say amen to that, Samuel. And we got a comment here from Vicky Dewey, who says communication is key. And at IBTTA with our staff, our small staff of 13 people, since we've come home 8.5 weeks ago, we've used Zoom incessantly. It seems like Zoom is the new partner for us.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a weekly staff meeting first thing on Monday morning where we're seeing one another on Zoom. And in some ways, it almost seems better than the staff meetings we might have had in person, because you can see everybody's faces in real time. You don't have to crane your neck to see what's going on.
Yeah.
So
I'll say one of the other things we did, Pat and I had this discussion with our executive team yesterday. Just a note of, I wouldn't say caution, but it's something important to think about, because we're also using this platform for our committee and board meetings. When you're at home, you feel very relaxed. And sometimes you forget that everything you're doing at home, people can see on camera. So we had to have a discussion about video conferencing decorum, especially with our committee and board meetings, because people are so relaxed at home, they forget that this is being broadcast to the world. And we had a couple of folks who, are up stretching during the meeting, which is probably not a good look. So I tried to remind folks that even though we're doing this through video conference, you still have to remember that it is a formal meeting. So try and keep in mind that people do see what you're doing. So that's the other management note I have.
One of the first things I read when we started to go into self-isolation and shelter at home was an article that talked about how to maintain a sense of morale and purpose and meaning in your life. And
Right.
the first thing this article said was, get dressed in the morning. Maybe you don't have to put on a suit and a tie and those greatly polished shoes, but you should get dressed as if you were going to the office. And that puts you in the mood for real work.
Agreed.
Samuel, I got a wonderful comment here from Emma Stokey from ISCAT in Italy. She says, the road to continued excellence is more than ever true right now during this pandemic and unprecedented era we're all facing. IBTTA is keeping the pace and showing to its members that all together we can walk along a road of continued excellence. Thanks, Mr. President and Pat, for everything you do for us and the whole staff. Ciao, Emma. Well, Emma, thanks for your question. And for those of you just joining us, this is Café IBTTA. It's our weekly 30-minute chat with important people. And Samuel, that's a great segue into your theme for 2020. Talk to us about your theme and how it's unfolded.
Right. It was an interesting theme we adopted. It's a rather bold statement. The road to continued excellence. It implies where we already are, but I view it more as recognition, because I think our association and our industry are worthy of being identified as being successful. But the key point to that theme was for us to be thoughtful and deliberate in identifying our path to continued success. I definitely didn't expect us to have to think about it in the light that we do today. and dealing with a pandemic. But I think it's very much holding true, as my good friend Emma's pointed out. Our future of success and the road we follow to get to that success is going to be different than what we've seen in the past. People are going to travel differently, work differently, socialize differently for the foreseeable future. So the way we approach things within our agencies to make sure our individual agencies are successful, and the way we work with IBTTA to make sure our global community of tolling in the tolling industry is successful is going to be different. But I think you and the team have done a great job, Pat, in adjusting what we do overnight to continue providing our membership a high amount of value. So thank you.
Well, thanks, Samuel. And that's a good segue into talking about some of the things that we've done to try to continue to deliver value for IBTTA. And Wanda Clan, our Deputy Executive Director, and the entire staff have been working on a calendar of virtual events, and soon it will be unveiled. We will have meetups of up to 100 people where everybody who's involved in a Zoom meeting can participate in the conversation. We're going to have webinars that are where as many as 500 people can participate, where it's a few to many kind of thing, where the few will be able to talk and present information, and the many will be able to listen and respond just like we're having today. So you're going to see that as well. Mm-hmm. So, and we're also planning to, for conferences that we've canceled, we're going to try to deliver some of that information virtually in IBTTA events over several days, and we're working on developing a platform to do that. So please stay tuned for all of those things. Here's a question from Mary Jane O'Meara. Sam, have you found it difficult to be both president of IBTTA and being the CEO of your agency?
Yeah, hey, Mary Jane, good to hear from you. It's definitely a lot more work, and I can't deny that my days have gotten a lot longer, but I'm very fortunate to be able to work with Pat and the talented staff at IBTTA who stepped up, as well as the talented staff we have here at TCA. So I think everyone's stepping up to help me in my dual role, which is beneficial, and it's in line with what we see as the biggest value in IBTTA, and that's our family culture. So family members always step up to help one another when times are hard or to help them be successful, and that's exactly what I'm enjoying right now.
Thanks, Samuel. That's great. That's wonderful. I want to move now into one of your big initiatives for this year. You are a big believer in developing people and in helping people find a more intentional way of making their way into the tolling industry. Talk about that initiative and your vision for that and how it's playing out.
Sure. Thanks, Pat. Yeah, I came up with this initiative, and we've called it our Tolling Immersion Program. And it's about attracting, retaining, and developing talent in our industry. And this is in line with my theme for this year. How do we make sure we're successful in the future? And it's undeniable that IBTTA and the tolling industry is being very successful because of the people we have in the industry. We do a lot with technology. We're a technology-driven industry, but our people are what makes the difference. But when we've had our discussions, mainly at board meetings, and we talk with all our leaders around the table, everybody kind of cites that they fell into tolling, right? Similar to my experience. I happened to get in tolling, developed a passion for it, and I love it. But I don't think we want to just focus on luck going forward. I think we need to be intentional. So our Tolling Immersion Program puts a banner around a lot of the good stuff we already do at IBTTA and adds a couple of new components. I think folks familiar with IBTTA definitely know what we do with the Leadership Academy. I think we're in our 20th year.
Oh, it's 13 years of the Leadership Academy.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of it. It feels like it's been 20. But we do a lot in our Leadership Academy. We have our scholarship program. Now we're also looking to incorporate mentoring as part of the program. We have our tolling one-on-one content to help folks become real knowledgeable in the industry when they get in it. And a key piece we've added is the concept of an internship program. So we want to leverage or provide the opportunity to our scholarship awardees and applicants to have an initial employment within the tolling industry. And this can be during a summer session with an intern spending part of their time working for a public agency and part of their time working on the private side so they can get the full breadth of what we have to offer in the industry. And since our scholarship awardees are some of the best and brightest from around the planet, if we can attract those folks and get them to stay in our industry, our future success will be almost certainly ensured.
Well, Samuel, the success is already happening. I get a message here from Kathy O'Connor at the Rhode Island Turnpike and Bridge Authority, and she says, Samuel, our intern in partnership with WSP has started this week. So we know the intern program is happening.
Great.
I'm just going to tell everybody, we got more questions here than we can possibly answer. We got about 8 minutes more in our Café IBTTA, but there's one big question here, and I would appreciate, this is from Doug Mann, would appreciate your thoughts on the $9+ billion IBTTA request to the federal government and how IBTTA and tolling can lead the way in economic recovery.
Yeah,
so two thoughts on that. You probably know that we sent a letter to the U.S. Congress, Speaker Pelosi and others on April 7th, talking about how we seek aid of about $9.245 billion. We have had in the weeks since then many discussions with congressional staff on both the appropriations and the authorizing committees, lots of discussions. We see it as a good sign that they're continuing to talk to us and ask us more questions about what we talked about in terms of the funding and the financing. But those conversations have sort of gone into a black box. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. We're hopeful that we'll see some positive result from that, but who knows? Who knows what's inside the black box? But we will continue to provide regular updates.
Yeah. But no, we are definitely hopeful, and I'm glad IBTTA found yet another way to deliver value to the membership and reaching out to Congress about this concept. As was pointed out, our business model that we have in tolling is very sustainable. It's a great business model. And one of the key things we are able to do in normal times is, help boost the economy through our various capital programs. And I think TCA, like most other agencies during this tough time, we've had to scale back on our capital efforts, right, to make sure we manage our organization's fiscal responsibilities well. But that contradicts or contrasts with our desire to help in any way we can with economic recovery. So I think this ask to Congress, if it's listened to and we get some response and get some support, it will place tolling, the tolling industry in a key position to help with what's now the focus in many states, and that's getting folks back to work and helping everyone deal with the financial challenges that have resulted from the pandemic.
And related to that, the whole notion of demonstrating the tolling industry's vital economic importance to the country, not only the US, but all around the world. On May 21st at 12 noon Eastern time, we're going to host a virtual nationwide press briefing, IBTTA, featuring the executive officers of IBTTA, Samuel Johnson, Mark Compton, Diane Scacchetti, Chris Tomlinson, as well as our immediate past president, Tim Stewart. And we will be talking about the tolling industry foundations for future economic growth in the country. We got a comment here. Will we continue with this format for mini sessions and conferences? This is from Shannon Swank. I love this format and being connected in between the large conferences. It also provides an opportunity to those employees that can't normally attend to participate. Bingo. This is exactly what Café IBTTA is for, and these webinars and other meetups that we're having. All right, let's see. Let's see here. Oh, Jessica Carson says that E470 is also partnering with WSP with 2 interns for the summer. Great job, Jessica. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. And from Tim Wendt, shout out to the 2020 Leadership Academy class, best class ever. Well, I think you might get an argument from 12 other classes, but we'll let it go this time, huh? All right, let's see. All right, here's a great question from Tim Stewart, and then we're going to go into our wrap up. Tim says, what can the IBTTA members do to help you, Mr. President, as you continue your year as president?
All right. I kind of circle back to what I stated earlier, and this is a conversation that we had with the board of directors at our January meeting before any of this, any of these challenges kicked off. Our most important asset in IBTTA is our family culture and being able to bring folks together for thought leadership. So while we are not able to hold our traditional in-person conferences, I think platforms like this are critical to us to be able to continue those family connections, contact each other and share information and experiences. I think that's more important now than it's ever been. So I'd really encourage the membership to stay involved. Make sure you have someone in your organization in touch with Pat. Pay close attention to your email for when this calendar comes out, showing all our planned virtual meetings, because I think that might only be a sample, and I think that's going to continue to grow. I think Pat and the team are doing a great job. IBTTA overall is doing a great job with our new virtual format, and our future is extremely bright. Once we get back to being able to have in-person meetings combined with the success we've had with the virtual meetings, I think that combination is going to continue to make IBTTA the hot ticket. I think we're going to have so much value provided to members. I would be remiss if a member missed out because they were not staying in touch and paying close attention to what's going on to the association. So I would say that's the most important thing. Protect our most valuable asset in IBTTA.
Samuel, that's great. That's a wonderful message. And I'm trying to share my screen here. And Samuel, do you see the?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so here's our promo. Every Wednesday at 11 a.m. We want you to join us back here with Café IBTTA. This is the entire IBTTA's equivalent of the Black Slab. There's 300 of you with us today. Let's make it 1,000 next time. We want everybody to join us. And I'm going to skip through a couple of slides here. Let's see, how the heck do I do this? Oh, here we go. This was one of our friends, Gail Bauer, who is a revenue strategist for a purpose-driven organization. She's worked with us in the past, and she talked about what a challenging year this has been for her and how the pandemic has really added to that. And I just want to leave you with this thought. She talked about how she's been resisting so many different things in her lives, but really discovered that resilience is the way through. And I think this goes with what you were just talking about, Samuel. Go with the flow. Don't fight it. Ask yourself, how can I ride a wave of opportunity to look at business more sharply now? Make change, eliminate the necessary, try something new, create a new vision, get better at something, improve your impact. This is really a great opportunity for all of us to take a step back and figure out not only how we can restore things that were in the past, but how we can make things better in the future.
Yeah, I really like that message, Pat. I think it says a lot. So thank you, Gail. Hopefully everyone is looking for the silver linings in the challenges we have, because these challenges are going to be short term. We're going to get beyond this. And there's some good things to learn that will benefit us in the future. So keep this message from Gail in mind.
Beautiful. Here's a couple of promos. We have this coming Friday at 10 a.m. It's an IBTTA International Committee meetup. As it says on the screen, a registration link, excuse me, it's going to be posted on the website on Friday morning, May 15th, if space is still available. And then, as I mentioned before, on May 21st at 12 p.m., we're going to have the nationwide virtual press conference with Samuel and other members of the IBTTA Executive Committee. We're going to talk about the state of transportation and tolling during COVID-19. Well, That's about all the time we have today. A reminder, this is Cafe IBTTA. Samuel, show them your mug. Show them your TCA mug.
All right. Make sure if
Samuel,
you're ever in California, if you're in Southern California, come visit me. Use the toll roads.
Samuel, it's been a pleasure being with you this morning. IBTTA members, it's been a pleasure being with you. Keep the questions and comments coming. We will capture all of the comments that we were not able to answer today, and we'll try to follow up with you after this. So
yeah.
for
Please.
IBTTA, go ahead, Samuel.
I was just going to say, please spread the word within your organizations, because remember, one of the big benefits we've heard from some of our members is our new virtual format allows broader participation within your organizations. So your frontline person who may not be able to travel, they can tune in and gain some valuable information as well. So spread the word within your organization and outside your organization.
Beautiful. Spread the word, stay safe and well, and we'll see you down the road. Thanks, Samuel.
Right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.